talking about the 9500 CI, which looks a lot like some other products that are on the market, at least as far as the radar receiver goes for the front of the vehicle. Now, a key difference between the 9500 and some of the other companies is that it does not have the LiDAR receiver built into the main radar unit, which is a good thing or a bad thing depending on how you're looking at it. From a performance standpoint, it gives you the flexibility to mount pieces where they're going to perform best for their particular application, but it also means that there are more components that we're going to have to mount. This piece right here, which will take care of the radar, we're looking at doing in the front of the vehicle, again, kind of centered to where they're going to be actually shooting radar, and to get this piece basically either in this area here towards the bottom of the car. I always like to go as low as possible when mounting these types of devices, or depending on what we run into once we pull this off, might have to go up just a hair and mount it in the top part of this screen veil that's in the front. But again, trying to recess this piece back so that it's flush. Alright, now we're going to talk a little bit about the placement here of the LiDAR shifter. LiDAR is going to basically be taken care of by this piece right here. Now, as far as mounting that to the vehicle, we're going to look for a spot where it's going to be basically on axis with where the LiDAR is going to be shot. Now, on the front of the vehicle, if we look around, probably the best spot that's going to split the difference here between where the headlights or the front license plate would be, which are two typical spots that they're going to shoot, is going to be up high here in this grill area towards the front of the vehicle. Now, another thing we got to point out is, being LiDAR or laser, anything that is not clear is going to block the ability of this piece to perform. So it's got to be mounted externally, not behind a body panel. Now, this vehicle here has been treated with the Veil product on the glass housings for the lights.
What we're getting ready to do here is mount the radar portion of the radar detector. And what we're going to do is we're going to mount it behind the front bumper here, underneath the fog light housing, so you will not be able to see any of the module. Keep it nice and stealth.
Okay, what Jeff here is doing is using a level to make sure that these transceivers, these LiDAR transceivers, are absolutely level. As we know, these need to be within 2 degrees off of level at most. So getting the head alignment and positioning is critical to maximize the performance of these laser shifters.
The fender cover already back in. The wires run through the bumper up into behind the headlight, which will then loom and trace along the factory wiring, factory grommet into the interior of the vehicle for the rest of the termination. What I'm doing now is I'm just putting some adhesive wall heat shrink over the connectors for the 2 front radar connectors. It gives you a nice weather-tight seal, as they will be in the engine compartment exposed to moisture and heat. So it just improves the reliability of the system a little bit. The heat to it shrinks the tubing around the connector, and there's actually on this heat shrink, there's an adhesive on the inside of the wall that when you heat it up, it expands and it seals the edges of the heat shrink, so no moisture or anything can get inside the connection. What I'm doing now is I'm just putting some split loom protective plastic coating over the wires so they don't chafe against any metal, or gives it some protection against some of the solvents that occur in the engine compartment, oil and stuff like that. And we'll wire tie that down to the factory harness, so it makes it a nice clean installation. What we're getting ready to do is mount the rear laser detector, license plate frame mount. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pull up the license plate, inner trim work, the rear deck lid, run the wire through all the factory grommets, pull some of the inner trunk panels off, and get started running the wire up to the front of the control module. It's actually behind the license plate here before we go drilling any holes. Just drilling the hole for the grommet, supply grommet on the rear laser wire. Get it behind the license plate so you won't see any wires going up into the trunk. Nice and stock looking. Just getting ready, just drilled the hole for the rear laser wire. Provides this nice little rubber grommet. Weather seals the trunk lid so you don't have any water seepage into the car. It's a nice feature. What we're going to do now is, since we drilled through some sheet metal in the car, at least some exposed metal edges, I use a product called Picklix 20. It is a rust inhibitor. All you do is spray it on or brush it on to the exposed metal, and it seals the metal so you don't get any surface rust or any rusting throughout the years on the car. Only a small portion of the wire you can see that tucks behind the plate.
That's fine.
Just ran my wire fish just through the trunk lid here. And I'll tape my wire to it and then pull it through to the factory grommet location along with the factory wires. Just using some wire ties to secure the wire to the factory wiring run so it's not bouncing around.